She is known for reading people mind, their lies, and their weaknesses. That same talent brought her into the world of espionage. And now, in Seoul, it was the very reason two of Korea's most powerful mafia families were ready to destroy each other. She had been hired by the Jang clan, a ruthless mafia group known for their control over weapons smuggling across Asia. Her mission was simple: spy on their rivals, the Han Syndicate, and deliver critical intelligence that could end the war between them once and for all. But things never stay simple. The moment Angela met Miho Han, the cold but magnetic heir of the Han Syndicate, everything began to change. She had gone undercover as a translator in one of his front companies, but Miho saw through her confidence and calmness. He wasn't fooled, but instead of exposing her, he began playing a dangerous game. "You're not who you say you are," Miho whispered one night as he leaned closer in his dimly lit office. "But I like the way you lie." Angela's heart had raced, not out of fear, but out of something far more dangerous. Still, she couldn't afford distraction. The Jang clan had begun to suspect her loyalty, especially their leader, Jang Tae-ho, a man as brutal as he was obsessed with control. Tae-ho had trusted her with secrets no one else knew, and in return, he watched her every move. When Tae-ho discovered that Angela had been seen too often near Miho, he ordered a test of loyalty. "Bring me something only the Han Syndicate's heir would protect with his life," he told her, his voice like ice. Angela knew what that meant. She had to steal Miho's encrypted ledger, a file containing the Han Syndicate's operations across Korea. But what she didn't expect was that Miho would hand it to her willingly. "Take it," he said, sliding the flash drive across the table. "If you really came here to betray me, do it now." His gaze pierced through her soul. For the first time, Angela felt the weight of her double life crushing her. Days later, Seoul erupted in chaos. Both mafias had declared open war, each claiming betrayal by the other. Explosions lit the night skies, and Angela's name was whispered like a curse in the underworld. The spy who fooled them both. But Angela wasn't done. Hidden deep in a secret apartment overlooking the Han River, she decoded both clans' secret files. What she found made her blood run cold. Both gangs were part of a larger international network that had ties back to Africa, her own homeland. They had been using Kenya as a route for illegal arms for years. Now she knew why they had chosen her. It wasn't just about espionage. It was about silencing a witness. Angela decided she wouldn't run anymore. She would expose both mafias, no matter the cost. But when Miho appeared at her door, wounded and desperate, everything changed again. "They think I betrayed them," he gasped. "You have to choose, Angela. Them or me." Her pulse thundered. For the first time, the woman who had mastered deceit didn't know which side she was on, or whether love was just another weapon in this war. As the city burned, Angela tightened the strap of her pistol and whispered, "I'm not on anyone's side anymore. From now on, they'll all pay." And with that, the Kenyan spy stepped back into the shadows, ready to bring down both empires that had tried to own her. The air in Seoul had changed. Smoke from burning warehouses drifted through the city's narrow alleys as gunshots echoed in the distance. The Jang clan and the Han Syndicate were no longer hiding behind their business fronts. The war had spilled into the streets. And at the center of it all was Angela and Jerry, the woman both sides wanted dead or captured. She moved like a ghost now, changing apartments every night, using false IDs, and tapping into both mafia's communication lines. The intelligence she had gathered wasn't just data, it was power. She had the kind of information that could destroy both clans from the inside out. But she also had something else. Miho Han, still alive, still bleeding, and still refusing to let her go. He sat across from her in the safe house, his arm wrapped in bandages she had stitched herself. The flickering light from the dying bulb cast shadows across his face. "You could have killed me," Miho said quietly, "but you didn't." "Why?" Angela's voice was steady, cold but trembling at its edges. "Because you're not my target anymore. They both used us. I'm done being someone's pawn." Miho stared at her for a long moment. "You think you can destroy them alone?" "I don't need to destroy them," she said. "I just need them to destroy each other." That night, she set her plan in motion. Angela sent encrypted messages to both mafias, one to Taeho Jang, the other to the remaining lieutenants of the Han Syndicate. Each message contained fragments of truth mixed with carefully crafted lies. False coordinates of secret weapons shipments, rumors of betrayal, and digital evidence suggesting that each gang's most trusted member had been leaking secrets to the other. Within hours, both sides were on high alert, paranoia spreading like wildfire. Allies turned on each other. Leaders were ambushed in their sleep. Seoul became a chessboard soaked in blood. Angela watched it all unfold from her vantage point, the rooftop of an abandoned factory by the Han River. But as the chaos grew, so did the danger. Taeho discovered her final betrayal. His men tracked her location using a hidden transmitter he had placed in the necklace he once gifted her. By the time she realized it, it was too late. Explosions shook the building as black SUVs surrounded the factory. Armed men poured in from every direction. Angela grabbed her gun and turned to Miho. "Go. I'll hold them off." "I'm not leaving you," he shot back, his jaw clenched. Bullets tore through the walls as they ducked for cover. The sound of gunfire mixed with the roar of the river outside. Angela fought like a storm, precise, fearless, and fierce. But there were too many. Then, out of nowhere, headlights cut through the smoke. Han Syndicate's remaining enforcers, led by Miho's right-hand man, stormed in to rescue them. Within minutes, the warehouse was a battlefield between both sides, Jang's men and Han's. Angela and Miho fled through a side exit, sprinting into the cold night. But before they could reach the bridge, a sniper's shot cracked through the air. The bullet grazed Angela's arm, spinning her to the ground. Miho caught her for she fell. "Stay with me," he pleaded. Through the pain, she forced a bitter smile. Looks like both gangs finally got what they wanted: destruction. Sirens wailed in the distance. The Korean Intelligence Bureau had finally intervened, tracing the massive gang war back to its roots. Miho looked down at her, torn between saving her or running. Angela pressed a flash drive into his palm, the last piece of her mission. "Take it. Everything's in there. Let them destroy themselves." Then she pulled away, disappearing into the darkness of the river's edge before he could stop her. By dawn, Seoul's two largest mafia syndicates lay in ruins, their leaders dead, their empires in ashes. But no one ever found Angela. Some said she was killed in the chaos. Others claimed she returned to Kenya, living under a new name, and a few whispered that she had become something else, an independent ghost broker, controlling the remnants of both mafias from the shadows. All that was certain was this: she was no longer anyone's spy. She was the storm that ended them all. 3 years had passed since the war that tore Seoul apart. The Han Syndicate was gone. The Jang clan was nothing more than a memory whispered in backroom deals and prison cells. But rumors still lingered. Somewhere in the shadows of the global underworld, a new name had begun to rise: the Ghost Queen. No one knew her face. No one knew her origin. All they knew was that she moved like smoke and struck like thunder. Her targets? The same men who once ruled her, and anyone foolish enough to rebuild what she destroyed. Her real name was long buried, but her eyes, sharp, calm, and calculating, still carried the same fire. Angela and Jerry was alive. In a luxury hotel overlooking the city of Dubai, Angela sat behind tinted glass, dressed in a fitted black suit. Her reflection was a stranger's, polished, untouchable, powerful. The woman beside her, a former Mossad hacker named Leora, placed a tablet on the table. "The last of Jang Taeho's network resurfaced," Leora said. "They're laundering money through a Korean tech conglomerate. Guess who's in charge?" Angela's lips curved slightly. Miho Han. She had expected it. After the war, Miho had gone underground. Everyone believed he was dead. But he had used the chaos to erase his past and rebuild his empire under a new name, Hanseo Global, one of Asia's fastest-growing tech firms. What few knew was that the company's clean image hid a vast smuggling network spanning from Korea to Africa. And that was Angela's new mission. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was justice. She was done being used, Now she hunted the ones who corrupted her homeland with their dirty deals. That night, Angela landed in Seoul again, the city she once fled. The skyline had changed, brighter and taller, but the streets whispered the same secrets. At a high-profile charity gala hosted by Hansio Global, she walked in as Dr. Amani Kudo, an investor from Kenya. Her poise was flawless, her accent faintly softened, her beauty disarming. No one recognized her except one man. From across the ballroom, Miho froze. For a moment, time stopped. He had convinced himself she was dead. Yet here she was, alive, elegant, and radiating the same quiet fire that once burned beside him in the dark. He moved closer, the crowd fading into a blur around them. "Angela," he whispered, his voice almost breaking. She met his gaze, unflinching. "That name doesn't exist anymore." "Why are you here?" he asked. Her eyes glimmered, half shadow, half fury. "You built your empire on the blood of others. I came to take it apart, piece by piece." Before he could speak again, she slipped a small device into his pocket. A microchip that would drain Hansio Global's hidden accounts in 24 hours. Then she smiled. "Goodbye, Miho." She turned and walked away as the lights dimmed, leaving him staring after her, torn between guilt, admiration, and something dangerously close to longing. By dawn, news broke. Hansio Global's offshore accounts had been wiped. Millions vanished. Interpol launched an investigation. Miho's name was all over the headlines. And in a small cafe outside Myeongdong, Angela sipped her coffee, watching the chaos unfold on her screen. Leora looked at her, impressed. "You took down an empire overnight." Angela's expression was unreadable. "Empires are built by men who think they can't be broken. My job is to remind them they can." But deep inside, behind her calm, she felt something heavier. Not triumph, not relief, just the ache of unfinished business. Because for all her power, there was still one person she hadn't stopped. The one who once handed her a gun and taught her to lie like a ghost. Jang Tae-ho was alive, and the war wasn't over. The roar of the jet engines faded as Angela stepped off the private plane onto the sun-baked tarmac of Nairobi. The air smelled of red dust and acacia, and the sight of her homeland stirred something deep inside her. A mix of nostalgia and dread. She hadn't been back to Kenya since she was recruited by the Jang clan years ago. Now she was back not as a spy but as a hunter. Her target was clear. Jang Tae-ho, the man who had once controlled her life, was alive, and he was rebuilding. After faking his death in Seoul, he had resurfaced under a new identity, operating through a network of African warlords, gold smugglers, and corrupt politicians. And his new base of operations was hidden somewhere in the shadowy borderlands between Kenya and Uganda. Angela had one rule for this mission: no mercy. That night, inside a dimly lit warehouse in Nairobi's industrial area, Angela met with her informant, a former arms courier named Kibit, who had once worked for the Jang network. Kibit's hands trembled as he handed her a sealed envelope. "He's not alone," he warned. "He's got new men, Korean mercenaries, and someone else is backing him. Someone rich." Angela opened the envelope. Inside was a photo. Her heart stopped. It was Miho Han. "No," she whispered, her eyes darkening. According to Kibit, Miho had been spotted meeting Tae-ho in Ethiopia weeks ago. The two men had formed an uneasy alliance to recover what Angela had destroyed, and this time, their operations were tied to a dangerous new trade: rare earth minerals. "You told me you wanted to end the mafias," Kibit said quietly. "This is your chance. But it will cost you your life if you go in alone." Angela looked at the photo again. Miho's face hardened, older, but the same. She clenched her jaw. He made his choice. Now I'll make mine. Days later, in the dense forests of western Kenya, Angela infiltrated the compound hidden deep beyond the river valley. Armed with a silenced pistol and a wrist communicator linked to her hacker team in Dubai, she slipped through the shadows, eliminating guards with silent precision. The air smelled of sweat, oil, and danger. Through a broken window, she spotted Tae-ho. Alive, older, but still dangerous. giving orders to his men. But standing beside him was Miho. Angela froze. He looked different, dressed in combat gear, his once calm eyes now filled with bitterness. Before she could move, Miho turned sharply, as if sensing her presence. Their eyes met, just for a second, and in that second, years of pain, love, and betrayal crashed between them like a storm. "Angela," he said into his comms, his voice steady but cold. "She's here." Taeho's men reacted instantly, opening fire. Angela dove for cover, rolling behind a steel crate as bullets ricocheted around her. She returned fire, taking down 3 men before sprinting into the trees. But Miho didn't follow the order to kill her. He went after her alone. They met again in the ruins of an old colonial house hidden in the forest, the moonlight slicing through the cracks in the roof. Both raised their weapons, but neither fired. "So it's true," she said. "You're working with him." Miho's face hardened. "You destroyed everything. The syndicate, the legacy, all of it. You think you're different from him, Angela? You're just like us now." "No," she snapped. "I became what you forced me to be." A long silence followed. The sound of gunfire echoed faintly in the distance. Then Miho lowered his gun first. "You can walk away. Leave this place. Forget Taeho. Forget me." "You know I can't," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "He built this chaos in my country. It ends tonight." Before he could stop her, she threw a smoke grenade and vanished into the mist. By dawn, the compound was in flames. Angela's explosives had destroyed the weapons depot, and Taeho's network was crippled. But as she escaped through the forest, she saw Miho dragging Taeho toward a waiting helicopter. Their eyes met one last time through the smoke. Not as enemies, not as lovers, but as 2 souls trapped in a war neither could escape. She aimed her gun. Her finger trembled on the trigger. Then she lowered it. "This isn't your story anymore," she whispered. The helicopter lifted into the sky, disappearing over the trees. Angela stood alone in the burning forest, the orange glow reflecting in her eyes. She had destroyed the empire, but she hadn't killed her ghosts. The city stretched beneath the highlands like a restless pulse, alive, ancient, and full of secrets. For the past 3 months, whispers of Jang Taeho's new operation had been spreading through Africa's underground. Shipments of rare earth minerals disguised as humanitarian cargo, guarded by private armies, and financed by ghost accounts hidden across 3 continents. And at the center of it all, Miho Han. Angela had seen the helicopter escape in Kenya. Now she knew where it had landed. Her contact in Ethiopia was Dr. Solomon Bekele, a soft-spoken intelligence analyst who owed her a favor from years back. They met in a quiet cafe in Bol District. He slid a tablet across the table, showing her satellite footage of a heavily guarded site near the Afar Desert. "It's not just Taeho," Solomon said grimly. "There are foreign investors involved, European, Chinese, even a few African politicians. But the man coordinating all communication is Miho Han." Angela leaned back, her eyes narrowing. "So he's no longer Taeho's pawn. He's the one running it." Solomon nodded slowly. "Rumor says Taeho's getting old, paranoid. Miho's been waiting for the right moment to take full control. If you go after him now, it won't be just revenge. It'll be war." Angela smiled faintly, a dangerous calm in her voice. "Then let it be war." That night, she disguised herself as part of a UN logistics team heading toward the desert facility. The air grew drier, the horizon stretching endlessly as armored trucks rolled through the sand. From a distance, the compound looked like an aid base, but through her binoculars, Angela saw the truth. Drones, snipers, hidden bunkers, and crates stamped with false humanitarian logos. She slipped away under cover of darkness, infiltrating the perimeter with the precision of a ghost. Inside, she hacked into the internal system and began copying encrypted files, shipment routes, bank transfers, the list of corrupt officials involved. Then she heard a voice. "You shouldn't have come here." Her blood ran cold. She turned, and there he was, Miho Han, standing in the shadows of the command tent, dressed in black tactical gear. His expression was unreadable, his eyes burning with something between anger and grief. "You were supposed to disappear," he said softly. "You already won. You think this is about winning?" Angela shot back. "This is about ending what both of you started." "Taeho is dying," Miho said quietly. "He's not the enemy anymore." "Then why are you protecting his empire?" Silence. "Because it's the only thing left of me," Miho said finally. "Without it, I'm nothing." Angela took a step closer, her gun trembling slightly. "You were never nothing. You just forgot who you were." For a brief second, the world fell away. The desert, the guns, the betrayal. It was just them again. Two souls scarred by the same war, standing on opposite sides of a fire neither could put out. Then an explosion shattered the moment. The outer wall of the facility erupted in flames. Angela's backup team had arrived earlier than planned. Sirens blared, lights flickered, and chaos swept through the camp. Miho grabbed her wrist. "Go! You can't be here when this ends." She wrenched free. "It ends because I'm here." She stormed toward the central tent, where Taeho was being guarded. Inside, she found him frail, coughing, but still carrying that cold, cruel smile. "Angela and Jerry," he rasped. "My greatest creation. You made me a spy," she said, aiming her gun. "But you forgot. Spies don't stay loyal." Before he could answer, Miho appeared behind her. "Don't," he said softly. "If you kill him, you'll never stop running." Taeho coughed out a weak laugh. "You think she can change? You think you can?" Angela hesitated just for a heartbeat. And in that heartbeat, Taeho pulled a hidden blade. But Miho was faster. The shot echoed through the tent. Taeho fell, a bullet through his chest. Angela's gun was still raised, but her hand was shaking. Miho lowered his weapon, his voice steady but broken. "Now it's done." Smoke filled the room. They ran as the facility burned behind them, the desert glowing with fire. Helicopters swarmed the sky as Angela and Miho disappeared into the darkness. At dawn, they reached the cliffs overlooking the Afar Valley. The rising sun bathed them in gold and ash. Miho sat quietly, his weapon discarded beside him. "We destroyed everything we touched," he murmured. Angela looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, she saw not the heir of a mafia, not the man who betrayed her, but the lost boy who had once wanted peace. "Then maybe it's time to build something new," she said softly. He turned to her. "Together." She didn't answer. She just stood, walking toward the horizon where the desert met the light. "I'll see you in the next war," she whispered, and then SH was gone, a silhouette swallowed by the dawn. 6 months after the fire in the Afar Desert, Angela and Jerry vanished again. Interpol believed she had died in the explosion that destroyed Taeho's compound. The Kenyan government quietly closed her case file. The world moved on, but in the shadows she still breathed. Now she works for no one. No agency, no country, no cause. She had become what everyone once feared, a ghost operative. Her name was a code whispered among intelligence brokers from Europe to Asia. Callie. Some said she ran a secret syndicate of her own. Others believed she only surfaced when injustice found her path. And though she had burned everything behind her, one man refused to let her disappear. Miho Han. Miho was no longer the polished heir or the corporate mogul. He had changed. His once sleek world had crumbled with Taeho's death. Governments had seized his assets, allies had turned on him, and his empire now existed only in fragments. But instead of rebuilding it, Miho devoted himself to a single mission, finding Angela. He followed rumors across borders, Istanbul, Lagos, Berlin, and finally, Hong Kong, where whispers of a Kenyan hacker breaking into global intelligence networks reached him. Every clue brought him closer, and every time he was close, she vanished like smoke. Until one night, Hong Kong, midnight, rain slicked the neon streets as Miho followed a signal from an encrypted network used by Callie. It led him to the rooftop of an abandoned financial tower. There she was, standing at the edge, the city lights painting her face in blue and gold. She didn't flinch when he approached. "You shouldn't have come," she said, her voice low but calm. "I've been looking for you for half a year," Miho replied. "Every trail led to a ghost. Now I see why." Angela turned to face him. Her eyes were colder now, older, wiser, harder. "You still don't understand," she said. "The world I'm in now isn't yours anymore." "Then why did you leave me alive?" he asked, stepping closer. "You could have killed me in Ethiopia." "Why?" A faint, almost broken smile touched her lips. "Because I didn't want another ghost following me." The wind whipped between them, carrying the hum of the city below. "Angela," Miho said softly, "we've destroyed everything. Teho, the clans, our pasts. What's left?" "Freedom," she said simply. "And the cost of it." He took another step forward. "Then let me pay it with you." Her expression flickered. Just for a moment. The spy's mask cracked, revealing the woman who had once loved him beneath all the chaos. But then she placed a small drive in his hand. "This is a list of every surviving member of both mafias," she said. "Interpol will find them within hours. When they do, they'll trace it back to you. That's how you'll pay your debt." Miho looked at her, disbelief in his eyes. "You're sacrificing me." "No," she whispered. "I'm saving you." A helicopter's lights flared in the distance, her extraction team. She turned, her long coat swirling behind her in the wind. Miho caught her wrist, desperation breaking through his calm. "Angela, what are you now?" She looked at him, eyes steady, a ghost of sorrow in her voice. "I'm what you made me, what the world turned me into." Then she leaned close, her words soft against his ear. "And one day, when you finally stop chasing me, you'll understand. I was never running from you. I was running from what we became." And then she was gone, into the helicopter, into the storm, into legend. Weeks later, news broke across global media. Interpol had arrested dozens of high-ranking mafia financiers. Anonymous leaks had exposed entire networks of corruption tied to Korea, Africa, and Europe. Every lead traced back to Miho Han. He was taken into custody. Silent, expressionless, his eyes distant. When asked who had given him the files, he said only one word: "Callie." The agents exchanged confused glances, none of them knowing that the name belonged to the woman who had once been both his love and his destroyer. Somewhere in Lisbon, Angela sat by the ocean, watching the sunset fade into the Atlantic. Her phone buzzed, an encrypted message. "He took the blame. He didn't betray you." For a long time, she said nothing. Then she smiled faintly, eyes glistening in the dying light. "He finally found peace," she murmured. And as the tide washed over the shore, Angela closed her laptop and vanished once again, into a world where no one could find her. But somewhere, deep in her heart, she knew the story between her and Miho was not truly over, because even ghosts remember who they loved. 3 years later, the world had changed, but shadows always found a way to survive. From Seoul to Madrid, from Nairobi to Moscow, a new criminal force had emerged. They called themselves the Phantom Syndicate, a faceless organization trading in weapons, intelligence, and chaos. Their symbol, a black lotus blooming in fire. Episode 1 ends here. The next episode comes up soon. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment. Also like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is uploaded.